All right, beautiful people. Greetings, good afternoon, good evening. Man, it's been a minute since I've been here, but greetings, beautiful people. Good afternoon, good evening. It doesn't matter what time it is, just know that today is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. Why? Well, I'm pretty sure y'all know by now, because I done said it enough, but God is good and He's good all the time. Duh. Man, I sat on it and thought, what do I want to do? Do I want to go live and discuss this, or do I want to just leave it alone? And so I decided I'm just going to discuss it because I waited just to get other perspectives and whatnot going. And the consensus around, and let me be clear what I'm talking about, but the Terry Hosley and TNC financial scandal, the thing about it is that the consensus that I keep seeing is that there's a loud group that feels that Terry has no legal grounds for a lawsuit. They feel that, now all of a sudden everybody are business gurus and whatnot, and everybody's adept at business, acumen and stuff. And so everybody wants to talk about, well, if you run a business, this is what happens. You'll be working at Burger King if you pay somebody $20,000 when, their event didn't make that. And the truth of the matter is that I see this differently. Like, I wanted to be the one to come on and tell y'all, no, Terry Hosley actually do have legal grounds for a civil suit, regardless if you feel that he has enough evidence because there was no contractual agreement that legally binded them. But the truth of the matter is that you can take anybody to court for anything, literally. The courts really don't care because at the end of the day, the way they view it is like, my man, my sister, my good friend. All we want is money from you. So bring us your problems, because at the end of the day, somebody's going to pay us, whether it's you or the people that you're suing, whether it's the person that's suing or the person being sued. Somebody's going to end up paying court fees, and the courts don't care. Bring your matters to us. Win or lose, we still get paid. So with that being said, they have legal grounds to sue. And I want to address some of the issues here. So without further ado, I forgot to grab my motherfucking book to show y'all, like, with legal documentation that they have. Terry Hosley has the legal grounds to sue the next chapter. And just for clarification, I'm not providing anybody any legal advice. I am just giving you information that I have ascertained throughout my education, pursuing not one, not two, to God be the glory, but 3 degrees, all in criminal justice. So I am very, very knowledgeable as to the black and white letter law, as to how the courts, the police systems, the juvenile systems, parole, probation, every aspect that surrounds the criminal justice system, the court systems, the civil system. I'm pretty adept there. Have not been to law school yet, but I will be there. Lord's will, I will become a lawyer. So without further ado, we're going to get into this video, okay? So at the end of the day, this is what we watching. Let me show y'all the motherfucking title. This is on Backcourt Connection. Things got tense. T. Hosley confronts Scotty. I'm going to play this out so I can figure out where I'm going to be positioned and whatnot. But while this play out, I am going to go locate my book, because at the end of the day, I'm not giving y'all pure opinion. Like, we're educating here. So without further ado, let's get into it.
There's a lot going on right now. Of course, we got T. Hosley back in the building. T. Hosley was just on, so I'll let y'all start off and speak y'all piece and say whatever y'all need to say.
Yeah. Well, definitely appreciate you having us on here and fully prepared to have this conversation and also just figure out where we can kind of find a resolve to the situation, find out where we really went wrong in all of this. And also just like from the accountability perspective of us, like I made a mistake and I'm fully responsible for that mistake. And I don't want to hide behind it. None of that. Communication was not great. So I kind of just want to I listened to the interview with Terry. His frustrations are fully valid on everything, so I'd rather just go for the conversation head on.
Yeah.
And wherever Terry wants to begin on that, then we can kind of just speak on it.
No doubt. I feel like where was the confusion though? Like when y'all was at the event, Terry would say you was telling them that the numbers were doing really well. So like, what was your reasoning for telling him that if that wasn't what was actually going on?
Yeah, I think the conversation can start a little bit before that. Like if I don't want to jump this far ahead, but I do want to answer that at this exact moment.
Yeah.
But I mean, typically the way that we've approached our pay-per-views, and usually I am the guy that's sitting in the back room behind the curtains, kind of talking about, hey, here we are with sales, and I'm reporting to the team like, yo, guys are asking me like, how are things looking? And my perspective usually is like being kind of positive minded on certain things and just being like, all right, like we're looking good. But my interpretation has always been, as we've carried with TNC, is like the meaning of we're looking good is like, yo, we're at least making our money back, and everything past this is starting to become profitable, because as a business, all you want to do is at least make your money back. So I think that our interpretation of like that day, exactly what looking good meant, like in my mind, is we're getting to the point where everything past this is going to start to be money in our pockets, not necessarily looking good as like, yo, we hit that massive number.
Right. So what was the agreement though from the beginning of everything? What did y'all agree upon? Like what was y'all supposed to split or share or whatever y'all
Yeah, so when Terry and I had the conversation, and I'll ask if Terry can also just like verify on this side, like we went into it, I had asked Terry like, yo, like we have the ability to also turn this pay-per-view. We did this with the Born Ready platform. It worked well when we went out there. We have the capabilities. We're going to come in. We're going to produce like a very massive show. It's not going to be a low-level production. Like we're going to come in with all hands on deck. We're going to have the full team there, cameras all over the court, multiple angles, face-offs, all of this stuff that we can do to try to bring light in a really good way. So like, yes, it's going to be pretty high budgeted. So the idea of this is like, yo, when we go into this partnership, I want to know roughly how much you're spending to make the event, the physical event, happen. And then I'm also going to let you know this is where we're going to be on what it typically costs us to produce. Now, the expenses by the end of the event, there's small things that get added to it, things that we find out last minute, like miscellaneous expenses. We always leave that box there. And that kind of adds up certain rentals we might need, securing a studio for the face-off, securing or getting gas money, getting food, all of this stuff. It's hard to plan that out way ahead of time because you don't know what it's going to come to until you're there at the end. So I had mentioned to Terry, I said, like, since you were planning to put this event together regardless, I want you to keep everything that is made at the door, 100% of that, because the worst thing that can come from this event is you came out of pocket and you lost money. So even though we are going into it and on the pay-per-view side, we're spending this, on the event side, you're spending this, I really only want to split on the pay-per-view side, and that's where we're putting in pretty much all the expense on that end. You make all your bread back on that, and we agreed on an 80-20 split.
Right. So I know at first he said you first.
Now, I can't tell a person how to make, you know what I'm saying, how to negotiate their business or anything of the sort like that. I can't do anything like that. But one thing I will tell y'all for future reference, 80-20% is crazy, regardless if they are footing majority of the bill, because I mean that's their business. Your business, you came in as like an auxiliary, help, where you were like, we can help you make more money, to make the most money that you've ever make in your life. This is what we will provide. So we will provide X, Y, Z. And these are the things that we provide within our business. These are all the products. These are all the services that we provide within our business. Cool. Then it's established like, okay, well, I want to see the expenses and I want to see the profit at the end type of thing. We'll get there. But The truth of the matter is 80/20 to me is ridiculous, especially when you're basing it on the fact that, well, I foot the majority of the bill. Well, no damn duh, nigga. You have higher expenses than me. So no duh, you're going to be paying out more money. And they'll get to the details of how, the staff and all the people that he provided to cover this event. But the thing is that this was Terry Hosley's event. This was Terry Hosley's event. So when he hired on the next chapter, Scotty, Friga, whatever, however you want to classify it, he was hiring them more so like in the position of a consultant, right? In the position of like, you are, I'm paying you for a service, but the bulk of this is me. Like, yeah, your expenses may be high because I hired on an expensive team, but your expenses is you. This is my event. So don't you ever negotiate to where somebody make the majority of the profit off of your thing, your event, whatever you got going on, just based solely on the fact that they pay more money. That's ridiculous. Because let me tell you this. This is the best example I could provide at the time. Anybody who has ever sued anyone civilly, like taken someone to, they have been involved in torts, civil court, you would know when you hire on a lawyer charge you anywhere from 30% to 40% of your motherfucking winnings. They don't take no 50%, no 60%. It ain't none of that. They not taking none of that. It's 30 to 40%. And the crazy part about it is that the lawyers do majority of the work for their motherfucking clients, yet they make a smaller percentage. Why? Because if it wasn't for their client, they would have had no case to even work on. Yes, you are paying that law firm to provide you their time, their dedication, their staff, so that way, any documentation that needs to be filed, get filed in a timely manner, because there's time restraints on things. And, anything that requires an investigation, they hire the team to go out and, perform the investigations. But at the end of the day, when you hire a lawyer to take on your case, baby, you're usually paying no more than like 40% to them at the end. They don't take the bulk. They don't take half. So to me, it's asinine that TNC, that motherfucking Terry would even agree to 20%. I don't give a damn how much your expenses cost. This is my motherfucking event. What are we doing here? I hired you as help because at the end of the day, and I'm going to play it out, but Terry even explained like this event was happening with them or not. They just wanted to piggyback off it. And they was like, we could help you make the most money of your life. But this doesn't seem like he helped him make the most money of his life. Sound like at the end, he only was wanting to pay him $3,000. And yes, I did watch this video, but I'm doing it because I need to educate y'all. Let go.
Agreed on a 50-50 split. So what was your reasoning for that? Like, that didn't really make a lot of sense at first.
To be honest, I can't really recall that 50-50 conversation of splitting the pay-per-view that way. Yeah. I think I used it as like also when we first started the conversation of like, yo, if like we're gonna split it per the ratio of how much we invest in it. So if it's 50K us, 10K you, 50, whatever it is, that's how we're going to split that. Yeah. Terry, when we spoke on that, where did the 50-50 on that come up? Because maybe I can recall something on that.
If you can recall, the first time we ever talked about you coming in, you guys coming in, doing what you did, it was way before we actually did an event together. We talked about doing it with Free Smoke versus Junior's League, and you guys were going to power it. And then we talked about just you doing it with me. And you were saying, we would take care of X, Y, and Z, you would take care of this, and we would just split everything on the pay-per-view side. Then when we got down to our actual collaboration that we actually was starting to do together, which was statements on April 25th, when we were talking about the split, I asked you, well, what's going to be the split? Because, y'all expenses are way higher than my expenses. And then you said, just for everything to be fair, with all the money we putting in on this side and what you got to put in, I think it would be a fair thing to be 80-20 when you think about what's being put in from us and what's being put in from you. And I agree.
I got you. Yeah, I think that the initial goal with the idea of doing, even though this is a little bit of a sidetrack project that we had wanted to do, the goal of doing like a free smoke versus a June's League, like we had talked behind the scenes about what would it look like if we produced maybe like Zay versus Nesco, and that's where we kind of came into the agreement of like you getting Zay there and Jazz getting Nesco there, and we come in as a production, and then we all split that equally. That I kind of like that made sense a lot more of like splitting it as an equal partnership, because we weren't bringing anybody, no TNC players into the equation. So we were just stepping in as a production company to come in as a partner and make sure that we put all the bells and whistles, face-offs, all of that together. So
See, even that sounds nuts to me, because it's like, what? Why would you provide 50-50 when you're not even planning on providing any players in this? Like, literally, the only thing you're doing is recording. Like, you're providing the streaming service for me. Why the freak would I give you 50% when oh my Jesus. And then what is even crazy is that the bulk will go to them. The event would have been Terry's free smoke tour, and then the jazz at motherfreaking, what is it? I'm drawing a blank on his platform, but it would have been 50% for TNC, and then 50% would have been split between Terry and Jazz. So there's like 20-25 or 20-25 with Terry, 25 with Jazz, while TNC collect 50%. It's like, but this is your event. You guys got to better like advocate for yourself and negotiate, because this is, aside from just like lacking contractual agreements, like it's. I don't like the fact that black people is giving these outside folk, these white people, the benefit of the doubt. Like you're literally giving these people motherfreaking perks and privileges that we don't even provide one another. You see what I'm saying? This is nasty work.
I do recall that.
But you still would have had to do your production equipment. You still would have had to bring in team members and everything like that. But I mean, and no disrespect, but this is kind of like going off a topic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm here, right, because I wanted to hear what you were going to say, because I wanted to know just your whole like perspective of like how this thing went. On my end, I'm just going to say this: everything that I supposed to did on my end of our collaboration, I feel like I've done it. Everything that I said I was going to do, I feel like I've done it. Every time I was supposed to call, I called. Every time I was called, I answered. And if I didn't answer, I got back to you. Anything I was supposed to check on, I did it. You feel me? Anything I felt short on and I needed help, I reached out to you guys and I asked. And I was clear about that on my interview that I did, right? So I just want, so I listened carefully, right? When you spoke on, when you were mentioning things are doing well, X, Y, and Z. So I just want to be clear. Are you playing this like, now you're saying when you were telling me it was doing well, you were speaking from a different perspective, but not from exactly what I was asking you?
Yeah, I'm saying that like my idea of doing well is we're getting to that number of breaking even, and everything else was going to be strictly profit after that, and we were going to start splitting money on all of that. So that was my interpretation of the word of doing well on the event. Because I will say, like, very honestly, when we spoke about this, I remember we talked about like, yo, I asked you, I said, how much, like, if we made this on this event, like, because I also wanted to, I was going in very ambitious to the situation of like, I've wanted for a very long time to try to prove the narrative's wrong about what we do go with, or more so what's placed on me about like, I just deal with it a lot of times. So I went into it and I said, hey, I want to try to make the most amount of money that we possibly can on this stuff. Like, what do you think is like a number you think like you'd be like so blown away? And
ain't nothing wrong with coming in here all wishful thinking.
Mentioned 50K, and I was like, hey, based on these splits of us doing this, I know it's not achievable to get to that 50K number. I then asked again, you said like being at 20K would also be like that is something that you'd want to be able to make from this. And I said that is totally possible for us to make this, but we got to like go crazy on the promo. The sales got to go crazy, because we've been in that position before where we sold enough tickets multiple times to warrant being able to be at that 20% split and finding that number.
And that is 100%. That right there is 100% fact. That is a conversation we had, right?
Yeah.
What I'm asking you is, at the actual event, right? Are you calling me a liar by saying by and I'm asking you now, are you calling me a liar about me keep on checking with you about how are we looking? Are we doing good? Are we in the green? And yada yada yada.
No.
And you were telling
Yeah.
me all positive things. Am I lying about that?
No, you're not, because I'm saying that we're looking
Okay.
good, and my perspective of that is we're getting into the green.
So I got a question. Terry has said you said y'all made y'all money back at some point, and from that point it was all profit. And he said that's when he kept asking you, kind of. He was like, "Yeah, we're doing really well, really well." So he was getting to the point where he thought he was making a lot of money.
We almost in the green. What's the exact number you trying to get to be in the green? You know what I'm saying? Or yeah, we're close to the green. I think we about to get a big jump. It was never no with these posts that came out about you only making 4 to 5K profit, right? But then you told Kel you made 15,000 in profit, right? It was never those type of responses. It was all positive, like high level responses when I was asking you in person, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think where also, by the way, the conversation with Kel, I was trying to go back and also find where, because I know it was mentioned that you had saw a message that I sent to Kel about it being 66K. I don't have that exact message. Maybe I communicated to him and then he texted to you. Maybe I misinterpreted the way that you were saying it on that. But when I'm sharing the
What you
numbers,
mean?
and I'm saying,
What you mean? Misinterpret what?
the way that you were saying it about Kel, saying that you said that you had messages saying that it made 66K that came directly from
Okay,
me.
look. All right, so listen. Do you recall when Kel put me and you in a group chat? When he
Yeah.
said, "Yo, what's going on?" Both of y'all saying two different things. I replied
Yes.
like I told y'all last interview, and I said, "Bro, don't put me in no group chat. I don't got no rap. X, Y, and Z. I'll take care of you on my own, and I ain't got nothing else to talk about the situation." About an
Yes.
hour or so after that, I was talking to Kel on the phone. Kel, I'm saying I have the screenshot to prove that he told me that you just called him and said, "I don't." First of all, I don't know why Terry's tripping. He only made like a couple $100. I don't know where that came from. That's one. Then he said, "Hold on, I'm about to hit him."
See, this is why I gotta pause it right here real quick, cause like, what I think is strange is when he told Terry, like, $20,000 is feasible for us to do, but we have to, put out a lot of effort just to acquire that payout. That's fine, you know. Terry, as a person with some business acumen, he's knowledgeable of the fact that there's, risks involved in businesses. So he was under the, understanding that even though this is what I aspire to make, I may not acquire this number. So it is what it is. But the issue came about is like you ghosting him. And then he's directly contacted you by explicitly, telling you what his needs are, and then you avoid him. Like, this isn't something that you can just attribute to poor communication. Like, that's not poor communication. That's just straight ghosting. Like, there's no if and buts about it. Like, that's just pure ghosting. So at the end of the day, it's like, I really don't understand why it's so difficult for TNC just to give him the $20,000, because if Terry was to take this to court, they could lose way more than $20,000. I'm just saying, but let's continue.
He hit me back and said that you told him the event only made 66K. I'm saying 15K in profit because you told me your expenses was 51K. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I just know how to count. So that's why I said 15K in profit. But then when this shit hit public, right? You guys came out with a post that said the event only made 4 to 5K profit. So now I'm asking, which one was it? Did you make
Yeah.
15K
So
in profit or you only made 4 to 5K in profit? Or you
So
telling me you never told Kel that?
no. So what I'm saying is, which it wouldn't have been the 66 number, because then by then the sales were closed. It came to 69,000, and I'll be able to screen share. I'll be able to refresh, update. You'll see the dashboard day by day by day by day. Just like YouTube takes a percentage on everything. So, and I remember when we spoke beforehand, I said, hey, our website partners will take a percentage of this. That's the partnership that we have with them. It's a better deal than going to YouTube. So after their percentage is taken out, we ended up landing around that 56,000-ish number. It was like 55,800 all in. Then that's where we begin to split on everything, because I can't touch the percentage that's left for our website partners to run our website, for the platform, the customer service, all of that, the refunds. It's a non-negotiable. That's our agreement with them. I can't touch that.
This is another thing that I think is weird for him to even mention. So when Terry had mentioned that he told him that his expenses were about $51,000. Untouchables, in my opinion, is something that is known well in advance. This ain't something that just pop up on you at the end. That's why it's called untouchables. It's like, because at the end of the day, this has to come out. Like, regardless of what we got going on, this amount has to come out. So it's something that's already known in the beginning. And to obfuscate the situation by trying to paint this as like one of the factors as to why Terry's payout was lowered, because it's like, remember earlier when I talked to you about these miscellaneous expenses? Well, this is the miscellaneous expenses. And it's like, no, miscellaneous expenses cannot be hundreds and thousands of dollars. You see what I'm saying? Like, miscellaneous expenses is something that is that's small, minute. It's not something that is so vast. Like, and then the fact that you making it seem like this is a him problem when he already told you from the beginning, y'all were under the understanding that y'all were supposed to know each other's expenses, which is why y'all came to the agreement of splitting it 80-20, because you said you're paying the bulk of this stuff anyways. So your untouchables would have been included in those expenses from the beginning. You can't just attribute that to miscellaneous expenses and then make it seem like that's why Terry Hosley's payout is a lot smaller because of some mother freaking untouchables that you're trying to say it didn't come out until later. No, bro, you're literally into, it's like it's giving, you're intentionally trying to confuse here.
So being that I might have told Kel, hey, we sold $69,000 in the tickets, it doesn't mean that 69 to that 53,000 was all profit. That doesn't mean that there's a portion of that that's untouchable by us.
Right, but this is the thing. If your expenses is 51K, right, and the event made 66 or 69, that's 18,000 in profit. Even though percentages comes out, but that's still what it is in profit. But I'm just here to ask. So you telling me you did not tell Kel it made 66K? Because I just want to know, like, who was lying to me. That's all I want to know.
66 and 69,000. There's a chance that Kel just said 66, but like I'm looking at the numbers.
I'm saying, I'm asking you. Did you tell him that? Is what I'm saying. That's what I'm asking.
I told him how much we sold. Yeah.
All right. So now here goes the big question that I always wanted to know. And now that we're live with the whole world listening, right? This is what I want to know. If part of our deal was once the invoice and the numbers, the stuff that you told me was coming on May 26th, you told me that on the 24th. How did I never seen it, or I never talked to you ever again until even when he put us in the group chat, I still didn't talk to you. And then you call him and say, hey, we only made X, Y, and Z. Why are you telling Kel what we made and not me when I was the one was your partner on this? That's the first thing.
Yeah.
The second thing, even after that, you told him you were going to call me and show me, and you still didn't. You only offered to show me when this shit hit public.
Not really sure why Devontae is here, aside from being a partner. It's like it's as if a spirit was just chilling in the room with you, not even saying.
That's when you offered to show me the numbers. So that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, so now, after everything like that, I'm not going to believe no numbers I see, right? Y'all can look at me like being delusional or whatever, but I know how tech y'all can be with graphic design, or you could really possibly be telling the truth about what it really made. But I know what the fuck you told me in that back room in the gym when I asked you was I close to my number before I asked you to pay Rajon, Kel, and Boog. I only asked you because you confirmed that I made very close to what I was trying to make. But then when it hit, then you ignored me for a month and a half, and then when it go public, you try to put out the narrative like I just made this shit up. Like I just woke up one day and said, you know what, I'm about to attack Scotty and them and say that. And I'm gonna say this right because I'm gonna be real, right? I don't fuck with you now, but I always fuck with you. I always had the utmost respect for you. I always fuck with you no matter what nobody said about you. I always was super grateful for anything y'all ever did for me or any type of light y'all shined on me, right? But you played fucking games with me, bro. You did. You played me really bad. You played me like I was a fucking sucker. You get what I'm saying? And I never encouraged you like that, and I don't like that shit. You feel me? So of course now the numbers that you show, I already know it's gonna prove what you're trying to say, but I know what you told me. Don't get on this pod or get out to the community and make it seem like I made this shit up. I didn't make none of this shit up. I didn't tell one lie since I've been talking about this shit. You feel me? And I never even tried to throw dirt in your name. When listen, I'm not gonna put this out there, but somebody big y'all got about to play over there with y'all coming up, right? You know who I'm talking about, right? Without us saying it, you know they hit me. Yo, what's going on with this shit with Scotty XYZ? And I told that man, bro, I never heard anything about Scotty or the whole team having a player over there and they don't get their fucking money when they supposed to get it or get every dime they supposed to get. Did he fuck me over? Yes, he did. But he ain't never do that. So in my opinion, you're going to get your money or whatever he say. I still didn't hate because I could have hated. You know what I'm saying? I didn't hate. So I'm not being phony, but I just know what me and you communicated with each other. I know what I was told, and that's why.
I'll give you this, Terry. It takes a motherfucking great discipline to not throw somebody under the bus who just had scorned you. Great discipline. May God continue to bless you, my brother. Yahweh, of course.
I went on to ask you what I asked you. You get what I'm saying? And then and I'm telling you how you carried it after that. Why would I believe anything you say after that?
Yeah.
I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I didn't do shit to you wrong for you ignore me and I didn't even, after the event, I didn't even press you like that. I didn't press you like that. I hit you on May 21st when you told me. And then when you gave me the new date, I hit you then. When this shit come out in public, it's in June. You talking about the payment come out in 7 days. You never said nothing about the payment coming out in June. You told me May 21st and May 26th. How the fuck we get to June? And now you got me thinking, would it came out 7 days later if this shit never would have went public? Because I felt like I never was going to speak to you ever again.
I would have felt the same way.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna be real, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because like I told you, bro, I'm being real with you. I don't fuck with you, bro. Like I had so much luck, but I don't fuck with you, right? But I fuck with Frigga, and I fuck with everybody else over there, right? So I'm gonna try to be respectful as possible, and I respect their part. But I'm gonna say this so the world can hear, right? I'm gonna get my motherfucking bread, bro, or I'm gonna come to see your bitch ass straight up. But I'm out.
This is where I want to pause.
I'm gonna get my motherfucking bread, bro, or I'm gonna come to see your bitch ass straight up. But I'm out.
I really don't appreciate the fact that a lot of people have been like trying to push this whole like violent narrative onto Terry Hosley, whether they black, white, no matter what they identity, race, whatever the freak is. It's the fact that they even putting it on him in the first place. Now, but I personally feel like if a white dude or any other dude, if Scotty was to have felt wronged in some way and he said those same words, a lot of our thoughts would have instantly went to like, okay, he's upset. He's about to get the law involved. He's either going to call the cops or he's taking niggas to court. But because of the implicit biases that exist in our minds, right? We sit here and we look at the world, right? And our perspectives are literally rooted in our implicit biases. So you look at Terry, you know, all of the motherfucking bias, all the motifs and the motherfucking thoughts that you have surrounding people that's from Baltimore, that's from what you consider urban areas, what you consider of men, what you consider of black men. These are the things that appear, right? He say this line, rightfully upset about the games that's been played and the financial scandal that he find himself involved, where it seemed like he's been fraudulently handled And he's upset. And niggas automatically applying violence. Even Davo at Off the Dribble. I did not like that junk, that little big-headed nigga. Because it's like, how dare you? You know what I'm saying? Like, black people, it's hard enough for us to shake the stereotypes and the caricatures that they try to apply to us. And when I say they, I'm talking about everybody outside of us. You see what I'm saying? We try to shake these things, and then these outside folk feel permitted to continue to perpetuate the ideas that they circulate about black people, because they're like, well, look over there. You got a black person that is saying the same thing that we are saying. They agree with us. So it has to be true. I hate it because Terry Hosley, these words right here, bro, these words right here,
right? I'm going to get my motherfucking bread, bro, or I'm going to come to see your bitch ass straight up. But I'm out.
Could easily take as, I'm going to get my money, meaning you are going to send me my motherfucking money, or I am going to see your bitchass in court, nigga. Because if I was a cursing type of person, that's what the freak I would have said. Because I'm the type of person that drag niggas to court. I do. That's my thing. As the good Lord educated me, I am the person I'll drag a nigga to court in a heartbeat. Google me. Just taste and see how good the Lord is. That's all I'm saying. So the fact that people automatically associated Terry Hosley's words with violence already tells me how you niggas perceive black people, and that applies to you niggas that are black. And that's why I'm an advocate when I tell you that all skin folk ain't your motherfucking kinfolk. Because at the end of the day, Davo, I don't care what little feud, quarrel, motherfucking contentions that you have with these other platforms. It's the fact that you came in trolling, using Terry, talking about he was gonna bring the whole Baltimore with him. Even if the nigga did say that to you, why the freak would you publicly put it out there? Nigga, are you dumb? Head that damn big, I would have thought that there's a brain in there that works, Megamind. The freak? That's the stuff that be blowing me. It's like, it's niggas. We expect these outside folks to do stuff like this. I have been telling people to avoid niggas like Scotty and Devontae Frigo, who wants to motherfreaking pass as black to get into black spaces just so he can motherfreaking exploit black people and black culture. At the end, he flip-flopped and turned into the white man as he motherfreaking benefit and monopolize off of it. When you look at the ownership behind the board that's behind the next chapter, it's a bunch of white niggas on there. It's Grayson and these two niggas. Yet when you look at the people that play, it's disproportionately black. Just saying. Yes, contracts need to be involved, but at the end of the day, I don't even give a damn if you have the motherfucking skill level of a 7th grade, little white girl from the burbs in basketball. If you are soliciting these people to put you on their platform, nigga, you better contract up and protect yourself, because at the end of the day, you are the asset that these niggas seek. And without you, they have nothing. These niggas have nothing. Advocate for yourself, because if you don't advocate for you, nigga, nobody will.
Yo, what the fuck? hey, man.
Yeah, I mean, I really.
Nigga, yo, chill.
Even B. Ellis. Every time I hear that little nigga voice, he make me think of Donkey on Shrek. I don't know if he grew up and he motherfucking sought after Eddie Murphy as like a idol or role model or some trash, but the nigga gives like T-Moo Eddie Murphy, you know what I'm saying? And he was on there too, because I watched this little clip too, trying to feed this like violent narrative. And it's like, bro, you are black. Why are you perpetuating this bull crap? Like, y'all niggas know how we talk. At the end of the day, at the baseline, it's the same thing with white people. And the fact that y'all always want to attribute violence to us. Like, why do y'all love painting black people as the angry, aggressive, motherfucking innately violent individual, when history has shown us that that is the trait of white people? Scotty is more likely to get violent with Terry than Terry is to get with motherfucking Scotty. Just look at history. Look at the data that exists. Scotty kinfolks are the ones that works in the police departments. This nigga come from an affluent background where they just throw money around to cover up their nonsense. Wealthy people, blue collar criminals, everybody know that these niggas get away with nothing. But you're a white collared criminal? Oh, baby, you get away with murder. Look at the Sackler family. These niggas have been wreaking havoc in communities, even killing white people with the opioids. And what do? They throw a couple of hundreds of thousands, a couple of millions of dollars at the courts and at the politicians, and they fund a couple of police departments, and then it all gets swept under the rug. There's no motherfucking accountability held to them. Why? Because money motherfucker talks and walks. Niggas, what that scripture says, what profit a man to gain the world and to lose his soul? You literally got people out here selling out their own mama for a motherfucking dollar. Jesus.
I really don't. I don't want to talk while Terry's not around in this situation.
B. Ellis, Davo, all the rest of you black niggas that helped paint Terry as a violent criminal, even though his language to me was perceived as an angry nigga that's ready to take a motherfucking crocker to court. Cause he from the hood, so he gonna talk like, I'ma see your bed. You know what I'm saying? I'ma see your bed. He from the hood, of course he talk like that. Now when white people put on our colloquialisms and they put on black scent and blackface, we still don't motherfucking associate them with violence, even though they be over here. Nah,
I feel like where I wanted to have this conversation and kind of what I wanted to clear up, I don't think it's like fair to speak on it without him present.
I feel
because you don't even want to talk regardless, and this gives you an excuse not to even say anything further or hold any accountability.
Bro, I just felt like he started getting mad as the shit was going on.
Yeah. Now Terry, come back. Yo, text him, Mo. Tell him to come back, bro.
I call. Pause it, man. I'm gonna call him.
Yeah, what I'm saying is,
you
like,
recording,
you know, we done the.
Then this nigga starts talking Devontae Fricker as soon as Terry up out of here. Watch him go back into silence when Terry pops up. Then when Terry leaves, this nigga vocal again.
Sorry, what's that?
No, I'm saying it's recording just so you know.
And this is why I don't be rocking with niggas that talk about, I'm biracial, I'm half black like the Markells from MJM. Because it's like, nigga, you raise up in a white motherfucking environment. You raise up with a white mama. Where your daddy at? If he present. Half of y'all niggas barely even see the black side of your family. You hang out with them white people and you grow up in this world, navigating this world through the perspectives of your white mammies. There's a difference between having a white mama and a black mama. So much so that it's embedded in our legislation. Let me tell you, Elizabeth Keys in the early, I want to say 1900s, was mid to late 1800s more so. She was a biracial woman who sued for her freedom off of the strength of her white daddy. Back in those days, it was illegal to enslave a motherfucking Christian. And because Elizabeth Keys' white daddy was a motherfucking Christian, she sued for her freedom, to which she had won. And Virginia's motherfucking politician was watching closely, because you got to remember, this is around the time that the 13 colonies was running. This was colonial America. It was not America as we know it today, where there's 50 motherfucking states. Like, we are talking about a time where the rule of USA Incorporated was this motherfucking big. It had no power. This lady motherfucking sued for her freedom, won. And then these niggas was like, you know what? We can't have a bunch of motherfucking biracial people suing for their freedom, because then we won't have nobody to work. And then we're going to lose our wealth. So what we need to do is that we need to change the legislation. So that's when they passed the laws prohibiting interracial mixing. It prohibited only between white women and every other race of man. Literally was the legislation. White men was the only people that could sleep around with people. But this is what gave them the loophole to losing a bunch of slaves. The white woman can't sleep around, so her children can't motherfucking sue for freedom. So even if a white woman sleeps with a black man and comes out with this biracial child, her children can't sue for freedom because their birth is illegal. Their existence is made illegal. And so they're automatically going to lose in the courts because it's like, we don't acknowledge your existence to be legitimate. We pass legislation illegalizing your existence. So then you can't sue with a white mama. But then if your daddy is white, your mama black, your mama motherfreaking, whatever the freak out here, that can be motherfreaking enslaved, because at the end of the day, they ended up adding it as a loophole into the legislation where it states that your status can only be attributed to you based on your mom, not your daddy. So this is what safeguarded them from a bunch of children born to white dudes suing for freedom. It's like, just because your daddy is white and he's a Christian or what have you, does not mean you can sue for freedom, because you can't even take the status of your daddy. It's illegal. You can only take the status of your mother. So whether your mama is white, which illegalizes your existence, or your mama is black, which legalizes your enslavement, you can't fight it. And this is, fast forward today, this thing still exists, to where society places the status of the mother onto the children. So majority children, it doesn't matter what household you were born in. If you were born to black mothers, you're going to be raised in looking at the world through the lens of that black mother. Why? Because the black mother, at least in this world, is the nurturer or the child bearers. These are the ones that's spending most of their time with the children, raising them, bringing them up, teaching them about life. Daddies in this broken world are just slaves in the sense of financial providers. Anything outside of that, they're obsolete. You see what I'm saying? They're useless. That's according to the world. But the woman, mother freaking raised the children. So then the status gets attributed from the mom to the children, because you look at the world through the lens of your mama. And this is why I have the views that I have. That's why I don't look at Devontae Freeman, no matter how much he tries to claim himself as this biracial individual. It's like the lens that you look through is not through the lens of Terry Hosley, which is why y'all see this very differently.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't mind.
Yeah. I'd like to speak on that of like, we've never really once moved forward without paperwork on anything else. Like it's always, every single brand that we've always worked with, paperwork signed it. Every player we work with, paperwork signed it. It does depend on like the severity of the situation of like, if it's like some really, really small, we're in your city, pull up to the event, come play one game. It might just be like a handshake type situation, but anything major like this, we've always worked with paperwork. And particularly in this situation, like I kind of moved forward on it without communicating with Devontae, Grayson, the rest of the team, on a more handshake thing, because I also didn't want to approach this as like, yo, TNC's coming in and like it's hella corporate and we're signing this, we're signing that.
They usually use paperwork, but they didn't. And then TNC is being hella corporate, but then you don't even relay the information to the rest of your team. But then 2/3 of your team is actually present for this like damage control interview. Because
I was very desperate to take on the risk of this event to just do it, because I feel like for everything that we go through, everything that we deal with, it's constant microscope on TNC does this, TNC does that. And I went in with a lot of the ambitions of like trying to prove a lot of this wrong. And I feel like up until that very moment of the time of us communicating about payment, and that's where I'm 1,000,000% wrong. And I take full ownership and accountability on all of that. Up until that moment, like we did do a lot of good. We did everything that we said that we were going to do. Promoted the event amazing, face-offs, collaboration posts, all of that stuff. Like we did do every single thing on that side. Yeah. But and again, this is like, I really just wanted, there's so much that I wanted to talk about with Terry on this. I just don't feel that it's like fair to like
he
say all this stuff.
Yeah, he coming back.
Yeah.
I just feel like this is why you have to put the paperwork in place though, just to avoid all of this, you know? Like,
no,
yeah, we know that. You know, like
that is in my mind though. That's why I was so just like, keep everything made at the door, because I know when we first came into the event, it was really just going to be Kel versus Left Hand Dom. It was just going to be that.
It's just a moment of time, if they haven't done so already, that they are going to get this on the market. And when I say the market, I mean like make it to where it can be like blanking on the terminology, but it's when you can add it to the my gosh, I'm drawing a blank, but let's.
And there was going to be like Day Day and Baldy had like a 2-on-2, but I think that was really it. And then we added Rob, we added Tay, we added all them. So I was like, once we added them all into the mix, I knew from the door sale side, Terry was walking out of there at least in the green for what he's telling me that he's spending. Yeah. So like on the side of the pay-per-view sales, like if it did bad, then I was just going to take that completely on the chin. We were going to take that as a loss. Yeah. I didn't really want to go down the length of like making the relationship dynamic that I have with Terry too business transactional. And that's where I 100% messed up as well. So like I made a lot of mistakes throughout the back end of all of this, leading into it and the day of. I think I did everything right, and just afterwards, I just didn't. And up until June 3rd, I didn't even know that it was the expectation.
Bro, my bad, bro. Go ahead. I'm just listening, yo. My fault to you.
Are you good?
Terry, I wanted to circle back on answering that question. I honestly, when you left, I said that I felt like it wasn't fair for me to answer any of that.
The stock market is what I was saying. I wouldn't be surprised if they put it on the stock market so people can actually start investing in it on that side, which I wouldn't even be surprised if they are like that now, which is why they're going out of the way to like damage control this so people... Because they kind of downplay that. They push this idea like, we're so large. But then at the same time, it's like, ball is life. We're so small. And it's like, no, you can't push that same, like, you can't push that.
Without you present. So, Marcus, if you could just say, like, just a reminder.
And we know the disparities exist when it comes to, like, racial views. Because, I mean, when you think about platforms like Davo, right? When he talks about like him having, and even Pep, when they talk about having to pay their players out of pocket and stuff, they paying out of their own money. A lot of people, and I've seen them either allude to it or say it explicitly, but they will say that, you know, these people acquire their money in illegitimate means, implying like they're involved in some form of criminality. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's implied, you know, drugs, guns, and stuff like that. It's always applied to black people. It's never, you know, even when it comes to fundraising, it's like, oh, they were probably doing some fundraising. He take grassroots methods like fundraising, because when you think of a black business, you don't think of them as having a large pool funding or funding pool. But when you think of white platforms, like white-owned platforms like Ball is Life and The Next Chapter, they don't associate illegitimate money with any of their dealings, even though it's very, very likely it's more plausible and feasible than it is Pep and Motherfucker Davo, just looking at historical at the historical documentation. But when you look at these white platforms, like most people automatically assume like, oh, they must be receiving a bunch of endorsements or something of the sort. Like they're getting money from, you know, sponsorships, and they're getting all this big outside money. They have a large pool funding, where when you look at black spaces, black platforms, there's automatically this association of like welfare handout. It's
the three topics are
the truth.
Somebody hear the reminder of the three topics so I can go each one.
Now you say Marcus. He said a lot. What'd you say, T. Hosley? He said a lot, bro.
I mean, yo, honestly, I'm gonna calm myself down, right? It really ain't. Honestly, Scotty, it's really not a question. It's really not a question. It's really just more so of like, I want to know. The only question I have is, why did your communication fall off? If you know, you told me what you told me, and you know I was waiting for bread or I was waiting for us to get paid. Why would you just not respond all that time?
I think that's
all I want to know. Anything
I think that's the biggest problem. I think that's the biggest problem.
Okay, so. And the last time that we spoke on the phone, I know that we didn't agree on this, but I had recalled a situation where we were together at some point during the event, and I reported back to you saying that, like, hey, we just passed the point of breaking even. I don't remember exactly what game that was, whenever that was throughout it, but I remember being very discreet also, because there's people standing around. I have my laptop, I'm dimming my brightness down, and I'm reporting to you, hey, we just passed that point. I know that we had that conversation, but like,
it was either after or before the John Wick and Rajon game. That's when you told me that.
Okay. I mean,
I don't know if you're telling the truth or not, but that's when you told me.
I got you. You're saying after or before the John Wick game? Okay. And then
I know it was after the 3-on-3 game. I can't remember if it was after John Wick and them finished or before they started.
Buddy, a liar.
Yeah. But then we had that conversation that we were in the back room, and you had mentioned, did we get to the number? And
did I get to my number is what I asked you. I said, did I get to my number?
Yeah.
You shook your head, yeah, and then I said it out loud. So I'm close to my 20. You said yes. So I said, okay, can you pay Boog 1,000? Can you give Kel 1,000? Can you give Rajon X, Y, and Z? And you said yes.
And that's the point where I just do not recall that exact conversation of saying that it had
of course you don't recall it, because you would have to say, Terry, I lied. We know you're not going to get on here and say that, so of course you don't recall it.
what I can honestly say though, and this is just the way that I've operated, and I've made some mistakes throughout a lot of this in terms of just like where I've went around and I've been very focused on what's going on, and I've given an assurance of things, of a nod of how we looking, and if I'm like, oh good, like, but my interpretation again, like if the mentality was how we looking means are we close to that, and I said good, then that's where we're having a miscommunication on it. But then you said that I said on the thing that yeah, we got to that number and it's going to be on sale for a few more days, so we might even get past that number. Which in order for me to like report on that, I would have had to say, hey, this made almost $100,000 more than it actually made. And for that descriptive of a comment, I just don't recall making that comment.
So you never really said specific numbers?
Hold on, T. So do you ever recall us saying, in order for me to get 20,000 before, for me to be at 20,000 before the little minor fees and shit that come out, because you told me that too, about when it's over, fees are going to come out at the end. You don't remember us talking about y'all had to make at least like 150 in total for me to get 20?
Yes, I recall.
Okay. So when I'm asking you how we looking, and if I'm at my number, how are you saying you don't understand what I mean by that?
I just don't recall the at my number part. I don't recall the at my number. Just how are we looking?
That the fees.
Listen. How are we looking is what I kept asking you throughout each game. You feel me? And at one point on the floor, I asked you out there. You gave me a little head nod, like, you know, not a head nod. You gave me a little like with your fingers, like, yo, just give us some time. Bit by boom. At the end, you said, bro, you said, bro. Yeah, you said, yeah, you're like right there. You could possibly go over because it's still available to buy until May 9th. You feel me? Like I'm saying, like so. Once again, are you calling me a liar? You saying I'm lying about this?
No,
because listen. One of us are lying. One of us are lying. So if you're saying I'm lying, just tell me I'm lying.
No, I'm not saying that anybody's lying. I'm just saying that.
But one of us are lying, Scotty. One of us are lying. That's the whole point of this. It don't matter how professional you try to dress it up. At the end of the day, me or you, one of us are lying. So if you're saying, because I'm saying you're fucking lying. I'm telling you that you're fucking lying. You told me. I don't even want to bring my assistant in here and ask her, because that's my people's. If I wanted her to lie for me, she would. So I'm not even going to do that, because that ain't gonna hold no weight. But bro, you know what the fuck you told me, bro. You know what you told me. I don't know why you would tell me what you told me, but you know what the fuck you told me, bro. Because how I fuck with you, I would never wake up and try to make some shit up about you that wasn't true. That wouldn't even make sense, bro. You basically doing me a favor, shining light on my brand, shining light on my city. Why the fuck would I try to come make some shit up with you, bro? You feel me? You told me what you told me. You feel me? 100% fact. You told me what you told me. I was very strategic about how I asked you the question before I asked you to do me a favor afterwards. You feel me? And it's another thing. I have no problem with doing this. I forgot to mention this to you in my interview. I apologize. It's the only part I did leave out the story. And it ain't no shame in my game. I was even throwing a little fish bait to Scotty throughout the month I was waiting for him to respond, saying shit like, yo, I'm over here hurting, bro. I need something. You feel me? Can you throw me a couple thousand X, Y, and Z? But if you already know, if you already know,
damn,
I ain't make shit for real like that. Why you responding to me like, yo, Grayson handle the finances, yo, I'm gonna hit Grayson X, Y, and Z? Why you ain't just say, hold up, bro? You asking for a couple thousand, you ain't even make a couple thousand. You see what I'm saying? You was playing games the whole time, bro. You played games with me the whole time.
I will say, after the conversations and everything, when we were in that back room, I just want to go back to what we were communicating to each other. When we talked about the 20K, I also said in the very beginning of this whole thing, as we went into this, saying like, were you
beginning of what? Like our conversation or beginning of this interview? You saying?
Beginning of like us talking about doing this event.
Scotty's evasion skills is crazy.
I had mentioned like that we had the ability to bring a pay-per-view. I noticed that you were doing it live, and you had told me that your graphics guy had made a flyer and said that it was going to be on pay-per-view, but you didn't exactly have that all situated yet. You didn't know if you were going to do it. Mm-hmm. Correct?
Yes. So he had that on the bottom of the flyer, and I was not sure. Right.
So my approach the entire time going into this was that anything past $0 being added to the event was a positive. Even though the 20K was mentioned, I was assuming that anything past that was positive. So when we're talking about whether the conversation that you brought up again of did I get to my number, if you did say that, and I nodded and I was like, yeah, like if you did say that in that situation and I gave you that reassurance, I'm saying right now that reassurance was just, did we get to that number of breaking even and beginning on splitting on that stuff?
No, that cannot be possible. You already told me you broke even, bro, hours ago. Come on, like, who you playing with, Scotty? You already told me that. And let me piggyback off of something you said. The whole thing was positive. Whether it only made 3,004, it was already positive. This is the negative part about it, is that you lied and then you just dragged on from me for a month or so. This is the negative part. You feel me? I'm well aware if the event didn't sell, if it didn't make 300,000 or if it didn't make 80,000, it still was positive, bro. It still was positive. Y'all came down, y'all did a great job, did what y'all always do, what y'all been doing since y'all popped out and taking the shit to another level. Y'all did. Y'all had me one of the best strings I ever had in my event. Everything was positive. It didn't get negative until you lied. Don't sit here and say, when I asked you did I get to my number, you were reassured. Because why the fuck am I so concerned about you getting your money back, right? When you already told me that hours ago already. You already told me that hours ago. You feel me? Like, you remember when I just told you around the John Wick and Ray John game, you told me that y'all were back y'all made your money back already. You told me that. You feel me? You said, look, we right back at we at our expenses numbers, and we on our way into the green. You told me that at that point. So why would I be asking you? Did you get back to that point at the end of the event, bro? When you already told me that. At the end of the event, I want to know what is it looking like? Am I at 20? Am I at 10? Am I at 5? Am I at 1K? Like, am I at a couple hundred? Like, what am I at? You feel me? That's what I was asking you. You feel me? You ain't give me no head no in the back room. You told me yes. I'm pretty sure you're at your number. You might go over, depending on how many other sales we pick up. The video on demand sales, you said a whole bunch of shit. The video on demand sales don't typically do that well after the event, X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 but we still got time until midnight, blah, blah, blah. But you should be close to your number. You feel me? 20K and 1K, well, 1,500, that ain't close at all, bro. That ain't close at all, bro. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, I mean, like, I hear you, but I'm only on here just to see which one of us out of me and you're going to call a liar, me or you. That's all I want to know.
So when we
all that other shit, I don't really like. You know what I mean? Because I'm sorry, and I know I'm rambling. This is one more thing I want to ask. So if these are conversations that really that took place, right? Mm-hmm. Come on, don't do that. Y'all can hear me?
Yeah.
I hear you.
All right. I'm sorry. Somebody call me. Can you please just tell me why did your communication end up the way it did? If everything was all good, you didn't gaslight me. So why did you ghost me then?
Yeah, and that's the most important part that I definitely want to just take full ownership of, because one, there was a conversation that we had. I very quickly before I get into this, and I spoke to you on the phone, and Devontae was on the call too, where I had mentioned that I reported a number to you, but you said that I didn't report that number, and that was during the event. I had reported how many sales we were at, and I said that Devontae was on the call too, where I had mentioned that I said that we were at X amount of sales, and you had said that I didn't show you, and I didn't tell you a number that we were specifically at. I just told you that we were looking good. And that number that I was reporting when we were there, because I remember looking at the sales, because you did ask, where are we at? How are we looking? What's it looking like? I know for sure that I, at least at some point in there, said this is where we are at. Like in total purchases, revenue, all of that. It wasn't just I only ever said good. I know at one point I had reported exactly like where we were at throughout the event.
So you did at some point tell them where y'all was, like the exact number. It wasn't just, oh, here you go.
Yes.
Be back.
I'm still choppy.
You better.
I was saying, Scotty, you saying at no point in the event you told me the actual number? You saying you didn't?
No, I'm saying that I did at some point during that event report to you, this is where we are at in sales, whether that was right before we broke even, right after we broke even. I know for sure that I shared the revenue number some point out throughout that event. Not at the end. I know I didn't come back and say this is officially.
I mean, a lot of people just, there you go.
Now, how do you recall sharing the revenue information, but not the specifics? Because I'm saying, like, revenue information, especially when you're awaiting, to see whether or not you're going to break even, gain profit, what have you, like, it sets like a little, you know what I'm saying, like a little landmark in your mind. It's like a little placeholder. It's like, hold that right quick, because yeah, we need to remember this. This is important. So if you showed it to someone, I feel like you would be able to pinpoint exactly when. Terry was able to remember roughly, in between or at the end of whatever game when he approached Scotty and was like, how are we looking? How am I looking? He remembered the details, but then with Scotty, it's like, it's brain fog. For a person that is supposedly, attached to such a large company and is one of the platforms that has been doing this long enough to, actually have some knowledge about what he's doing, on top of the fact that you'll later see that he boasts to brag about how he has like a staff of over 50 people and then he's paying, hoopers and all this other stuff. So it's like when you have such a large plate, especially when you are one of the, owners, you at the top of the board of your members, you know what I'm saying? You tend to have better recollection than what is being presented by Scotty. And it's inexcusable to me, because it's just like, dude, you make these grandiose gestures way too often, boasting and bragging about yourself, with you being a large platform and always, pretty much making the other platform seem like so small and minuscule. So it's just like, this is inexcusable for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you gonna dungeon.
You told him?
He trying. He gonna dungeon.
Yeah, I don't know.
Probably do.
Can't hear you, Terry. I'm gonna pause it until you figure it.
Like, I've been looking for you, no homo shit to pause, but I already kill you 30-10 though. Like, bro, 30-10 though.
You gotta show me, bro. You gotta show
I'll
me.
give you 10. You can beat me down my phone. I
What-
like it like that.
before-
I like it like that.
Highlights.
Say no more.
Like, when's the last time you played?
Forget about that. When I get back, I'll keep you.
Again.
Please, first right.
Like, Saturday, I do it. That's all I need to do.
Hey, bro, is it recording? Oh, yeah. A lot of people just want to know the communication part, bro. That was the biggest thing.
Can I step in really quick,
Go
Scott?
ahead.
Let me step in really quick,
Now
because
he speaks.
and like, I'm not stepping in to protect Scotty either. What I want to say is, like,
But
shit,
he is.
Scotty's communication, like, really isn't the best sometimes.
Inexcusable.
And I feel like the main reason I did want to step in and speak on this, or at least be here, is to speak on this part specifically, because I think as the sport and as this space and as our company is growing and more things are happening, there's a
You should have spoke when motherfucking Terry was president. You wait till Terry just like out of here.
lot we have to learn. Like, there's so much that we have to be willing to go back to the drawing board and be like, yeah, we fucked up doing this, or we could do this better, or we could probably take that away. But ultimately, like, as we're trying to grow something from the grassroots that's never been done before, there's a lot of hurdles that we're going to have. And obviously one of the hurdles could be ourselves, like something like this situation. This is completely blown over. That possibly could have been solved before it hit the internet, just with communication. So I know, like, internally, we've had many conversations blowing up on Scotty, and Scotty also like coming to us and taking accountability and apologizing on that. So like, and it's not just him, right? Like, I think also there.
But that type of poor management is literally legal grounds for even your employed, like your hired staff, to sue. Because if your communication level is so poor to the point where you're starting to like be incompetent, but you are one of the like highest members on your motherfucking business board, then baby, it's either grounds for you getting motherfucking replaced. The board should be having a little chit chat amongst each other, get you up out of there, because you're now becoming a liability, like a literal liability, to where now not even just outside people could sue, but even the people who have more information on an internal level can come out and sue you. So it's just like the incompetence is inexcusable. And the fact that Devontae Frigga tried to throw some water on the fire and ended up throwing oil on top of it, it's like there's
a lot that's going on where like things do need to be delegated, and we are going back to the drawing board and figuring out like where does communication need to be lied, who needs to have this role and that role. And I think ultimately, again, no excuse. I think that's something we got to step up and take accountability for. Whether it was just Scotty and Terry having the conversation or not, it reflects everybody, the communication for the entire company. So that's.
We have to step up and take accountability. That sounds nice. Where to action at, though?
The main part that I want to get on here as well and talk about, because like I feel like I always at least,
like the Bible says, do as they say, not as they do, for they practice not what they preach.
I always at least attempt to communicate, especially when we're working with partners. When it comes to communicating, yeah, Scotty's probably handling the most conversations every single day in the company, whether it's production or players or planning or whatever. Yeah. So I can understand how some things can get lost, but this one specifically, it's not good when it's a partner. So I get that, and
incompetence is an excuse.
We will take this on the chin and go back and make sure something like this doesn't happen again. Right. Because while we try and be the premier league of this sport, something as small as this can't happen. And I think primarily
the premier league,
because we didn't have that paperwork in place. You know, like a lot of it was like, it was a little more lenient. We had just done the podcast a couple months prior, giving Terry a bunch of flowers and having Terry on the season. And it was all, it was all cool. Like everything was cool. Terry was in Ohio. We were all chilling. We were talking about what we can do next. So,
irrelevant information.
You know, most handshake deals, they're cool and whatnot, but obviously there's reasons that there's paperwork in place, and even if there wasn't, right, like communication would still be a thing. Yeah. So that's why I say, you know, like we do have to go back and figure some things out, but I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay with that. I'm okay with fucking up a couple times so we can win in the long run for everybody.
I would like to say, though, people need to stop obfuscating when they talk about contracts, because some people say, like, when they mention contracts and the lack thereof, they are literally implying, like, well, because there's no contracts present, you don't have no legal ground to hold us accountable. The only thing we could really say is that we dropped the ball of communication. See you next time, Terry. That's not how this works. It's not.
Now and try and be the best. Like we have to continue to get better. It's just the way it is, you know. Yeah. But I don't know if you want to speak on it, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just really would rather say it with Terry present, because I owe him an apology, like definitely a big one, and I owe him an explanation, not an excuse, but a pure explanation of just where I was at with the whole thing, and again,
I owe him an apology and never gave him one the whole time he was present and vocalizing in a motherfucking back and forth, you know, conversation with me.
Don't want to do it without him present.
Understandable. I think he having trouble. I feel like the biggest part of this whole thing was obviously he wants his money that he feel he's owed. But I feel like just the communication, bro. Like Frigga said, that would probably take care of everything, bro.
What do y'all think is the proper way to resolve this
communication piece? But I don't know what he's doing.
Proper form of reconciliation.
I mean, if you don't want to talk no more, we can wrap it up, because I think he having trouble.
He not coming back?
He ain't said nothing back to me. I don't know.
I do know that Terry
I was having fun talking to you, D-Lam. I was having fun.
Very good. Am I getting no for you?
I do want to know, like, what's the end, like, solution though? Like, are y'all gonna come to a common ground on a number, or like what's the end game?
I mean, I feel like what's left on this is to apologized to him on the period where I didn't answer him, right? Because there were like 1,000,000% that there was a period, like from that date of that May 21st when I hit him, and I initially told him like, yo, our payment's gonna come on the 21st. It really doesn't. It comes on the 25th to the 30th. Like that's always when we get our pay cycle. I know Bielis reacted to it. He also mentioned that that's true. That's exactly when we send payouts. So me saying on the 21st, like it was just a hiccup on my end. So when I told him that it was really gonna be the 25th, at that point, my job also, just another thing that's on my plate, and sometimes I've had little hiccups where payments didn't get delivered like on the exact day they were supposed to. Somebody had to hit us up and be like, hey, I thought I was getting paid this day. Boom, we send it out right away. But when we do payroll, a lot of times it's me going through the entire spreadsheet and I have to put down for 50 different people every single month because not every single month is the same volume of work for people. So I'll go in there and I'll be like, this person gets this. And throughout that pay cycle, I just didn't put the 1,000 that Terry was, or it was roughly around 1,000 at the time. We actually just recently sent some extra on top of that. Not a lot extra, but some extra.
Now, I would like to stop it here because I seen a post by OTD, Off the Dribble Davo, and this is nigga with his childish mega mind headache made a comment saying that Terry Hosley has yet to have been paid. Now, if you listen to what Scotty says here very closely, it is implying that this nigga has paid Terry. Just listen.
1,000 that Terry was, or it was roughly around 1,000. And throughout that pay cycle, I just didn't put the 1,000 that Terry was, or it was roughly around 1,000 at the time. We actually just recently sent some extra on top of that. Not a lot extra, but some extra.
We recently sent some extra. Not a lot extra, but some extra. We recently sent extra. Not a lot of extra, but some extra. That sounds like you paid Terry. Am I tripping?
On top of that. I just forgot to place him in that spot. And then when I saw the group chat come June 3rd with Kel, that was the very first time that I had ever heard that Terry had the 20K number in his mind. I thought that at the whole time because at the event, I said, hey, this is where we're at. And then my reasoning for at the end of it mentioning this is going to be on sale for a few more days. So like, just trust that it'll go over. In my opinion, like when I'm communicating that, it doesn't add up to how, in order for me to say that we hit your number, we would have to be at $150,000 in sales. We were at $69,000 in sales. And at the day of the event, we were probably really at like 64,000 because it still sold the very next day. Yeah. But for me to tell him we're at 150,000 and you still might make some extra on top of that, it sounds like, but for me to tell him we're at 150,000 and you still might make some extra on top of that, it sounds like it's too thought out of a thought process for me to just be like,
buddy, let me be clear on what you're saying first. Hold on.
Yeah, like 64,000 because it still sold the very next day. Yeah. But for me to tell him we're at 150,000 and you still might make some extra on top of that, it sounds like it's too thought out of a thought process for me to.
Terry straight up said that you told him that you are looking good, as in you're looking real close to your number. You might make more. So if you see that the amount is about $69,000. And you know, because from what Terry said, that in his mind, that they would have to make about $100,000, I think he said, for him to meet his mark. If Terry motherfucking is under that understanding and then you tell him, you know, like, you're looking close, you're looking good, you're looking real close to making your number, probably going over, that implies that you have made a sufficient amount of money to where not only your expenses can be taken care of, but that you make a satisfactory amount of profit. In addition to the fact that Terry would be able to get the amount of money that he was looking to get. So you saying that, well, in order for me to give him that type of definite response, we will have to be at a certain amount of money. That's irrelevant, because if you are looking at the numbers climb, and you said it out of your own lips, what little you do have, is that you came in this very ambitious, very hopeful, because you were functioning off a high that you are still coming off of when you did the whole event with motherfucking the dark skinned nigga that played the one-on-one with Michael Beasley. I can't think of his name right now. And his platform. Even though this nigga's an ex-NBA player and he has a different social media presence than motherfucking Terry Hosley. But you still juxtaposed that nigga with Terry Hosley and came in hella ambitious, like, yeah, nigga, we about to make mad money. I'm gonna help you make the most money you've ever made in your life. But then now you want to sit here and try to tell us that, no, there's no way I could have told Terry that he made anywhere close to his mark, because I would have to be at $150,000 to even give him any type of response. Nigga, that's irrelevant information. Whether what the number need to be at and all that other stuff is irrelevant. Nigga, I can wipe my bloody vag with it. Use it as a tampon. Don't nobody care. You came in ambitious. You came in hopeful. And when you was motherfucking talking to him, you was talking to him in the moment. As the motherfucking numbers was going up at that time, you was still hopeful and ambitious, even when Terry was asking you, nigga, are we good? Am I good with my number? Yeah, you look good, Terry. You right at your number. You might make over. That's pretty explicit, my nigga. So to think that Terry is nuts for expecting 20,000 from you, nigga, where his 20,000? Like,
just be like airheaded and be like, yo, this is what it is. Like, that's why I just don't believe that that's the verbiage that I used exactly, or the meaning that I said behind it. And yeah, so when I got that text on June 3rd that it was that Terry saying that I owed him 20K and I'm telling Kel what it is, I low-key was like a little frozen in the moment of like, all right, like I don't even know how I'm gonna have this conversation with Terry right now, because like in his mind this is where it is, and what I know where we're at with sales, we're really at this number. So I took a moment to kind of just like think on it, figure out like how am I gonna go back and rectify the situation, because yes, Terry didn't get the exact numbers at the very end of the event. So I was starting to think about like, okay, so I'm gonna get on a call with him, I'm gonna show him these numbers, I'm gonna figure this out. I let it pass for a few days, and then I started to hear like how very upset that he was, and I low-key just never addressed the situation. And
So was that some of the problem that you was avoiding, that he got upset, that he was so mad you didn't really want to have conversation?
Well, at that time as well, like we were going through all the stuff with Summit. Like we had a very, very, very quick pivot, because we were supposed to be doing.
And motherfucking Terry was warranted that motherfucking I'ma see your BA
played at that exact time. And I remember somebody internally on TNC, they mentioned to me, they're like, yo, I just heard Terry, something was going on with Terry today. And I was like, all right, like I'm gonna hit him right after the Summit. And I just come right after the Summit. That's when a lot of this information was starting to come out. So the timing for
Separately, I actually got a chance to talk to Terry like without Scotty on the phone, because I know obviously like this I wasn't a part of the communication for much of this event at all. But afterwards, so Terry and I got a chance to talk. That's the only thing I'm having a hard time with is the 20K. With the 20K side is like
of course you are, because you don't want to pay him 20K.
Number we would have to be at to get to the 20K.
Irrelevant information.
Yeah. And I just know it. I just feel like, personally, having done obviously a bunch with Scotty, I just feel like he wouldn't like gaslighted or lie that we were at that.
Your feelings are irrelevant. That's not even circumstantial in court. Like, you can't defend yourself with I feel.
Number, because then I know that this exact thing would happen, right? I'm supposed to say that, right? But I told Terry the same thing on the phone too. So I would say to Terry again. But
you wouldn't, because you waited until Terry was going to start talking?
That's the part that I'm struggling with it all. But again, like you said, nobody wants to be called a liar on the situation. I'm sure everything just got misconstrued with the communication on set with everything going on, which again, sadly, comes down to the professional side of it with the contracts and all that type of stuff too. But
Lord
yeah. That's why I'm having a problem too, because 20,000 to 1,000 is like a crazy difference. Like,
crazy.
And where's the confusion in that?
Yeah, to be real, it really sucks on this situation. Terry was the very first collab that we did for TNC. It was actually when Devontae and I officially merged together and combined both of the brands. We went to Baltimore and we did a big event. We had went out there previously like 2 months ago where Terry had played against Moon and Nas played out there, but it wasn't really like a TNC collab. It was like they just invited Moon and Nas. We did an official TNC collab, I think in like March of 2023. So he was the first person that I worked with, the first person where I felt like I kind of gained some respect from him. So then when it was time to circle back, and of course the conversations were going around of like winning on a small platform doesn't matter, blah 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 blah. While all that stuff was going on, B. Ellis was definitely a big advocate, saying like, hey, like why has Terry never been on a season before? Because he's done so much for this community. And then we just started chopping it up, and we're like, all right, like let's bring him out for the season. He's definitely well deserved of it. Great energy there, and everybody loves Terry. Let's bring him out for a season. And then while he was there, I low-key like, I've been in those positions where we've kind of been pressed on a narrative around us and things that people said. So I'm like, we have a big platform. Let's go ahead and do this podcast. Let's talk about some of this stuff so that you can air it out. I'm going to be in your corner, defend you on that stuff. Like there was genuinely the entire time, all good intentions, and literally just 100% on me at the very end. Just fumbled badly. And if there's any way to rectify it in a way that's just like to gain the respect again, I'm all for that. But really where we're sitting at like financially, I just don't think we're going to have that agreement saying that when we were in that janitor room and I asked, did we get to my number? I just don't recall that. And the numbers aren't going to lie for really where they were at.
That's besides the point. If y'all watch motherfreaking, I got to move my shoulder. Coach Mid-Range, this video right here. I can't watch. Terry Hosley calls out TNC. So which one of us is lying? When you watch that nigga, he even said that he went through something similar where the dude had, like, they was involved in some little group, basketball thing or whatever. And there was like Nike was involved and another party was involved. And the dude promised them like, I think it was like $50,000 or something. It was some crazy tens of thousands amount, right? And by the end of the event, right, the dude who's agreed to paying Coach Midrange and them their money ended up just dipping, not paying them. This is what he said in this video. And so he was like, they reached out to Nike and was like, yo, they said that they was going to pay us this, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And Nike decided, they was like, you know what, even though we had nothing to do with that specifically, like those, that agreement or whatever, because of our involvement with this, we don't want that smear on our business. So you know what, we'll cover it. And they ended up paying them the money. That is what a reasonable business would do, especially when they want to maintain, good faith. They want to maintain your trust. They want to maintain your business in the future. You know what I'm saying? They won't just, even if they felt like this is mad money, I shouldn't give you this because I don't recall any of this, but because it caused such a huge issue and because of the fact that he said he claims to have so much respect for motherfucking, Terry Hosley and whatnot, it would make sense that they would pay the money, TNC, Devontae Frigga and Scotty. But no, instead they would be like, nah, we not paying you jack squat, nigga. Like, we didn't make nowhere near that amount, even though we ghosted you for months. We didn't make that amount, so why should we pay you? You know what I'm saying? You're not worth that, whatever. That we was never making that amount. And I think that's motherfucking nuts to even do him like I agree with Coach Midrange and how the situation was that he was involved in. It's like, pay him. Because now you run the possibility of ended up paying him even more. Terry, take this to court.
And I don't know how to rectify that situation. And then as far as the future with Terry, I don't know. I am hurt a little bit because he was really one of the only like smaller platform brands that I did have a relationship with for real. Yeah. And him and I would have a lot of conversations separate, offline, had no agenda set for him and I to speak on something. We just had a very real talk. Like whenever I would see something going on with him, I rang him a call. If publicly somebody was saying something about free smoke or whatever, like we did have a very open line of communication. And I just hope whether we work together ever again, obviously, clearly he's very upset, very frustrated, and it totally warrants all of that because I went ghost on the communication. Yeah. But I will say that, like, aside from going ghost on that conversation, it's not anybody.
When you admit accountability on the communication leads to this. So ultimately, you're admitting guilt to this whole gaggle FUCK.
We've ever worked with, any partner we've ever had, like,
I don't know if you niggas know how inferences are made, but yeah, it's made through your implications.
Devontae's mentioned, yeah, sometimes my communication's been bad. Like I might get back to somebody a little bit late, but like we've never had funny business with money. Like we've gotten everybody paid. And I know Terry touched on that as well. So this is like this.
They never had funny business with money, but there was the time where I think, was it Draco saying that he wasn't being paid properly through TNC. Nesco is even, reported to have even warned Terry of getting involved with TNC. What else was it? I remember because I used to follow this a little bit more.
This is one of the very, very, very few hiccups we've ever had, but also one of the shittiest that we could have.
You gotta laugh.
With somebody who means a lot.
When I was a child, I thought like a child, I spoke like a child, but when I became an adult, I put away childish things.
A lot in the community. So I don't know how it makes it any better. I do want to try to find some middle ground out of respect for this. I think that like it doesn't need to escalate, of course, to any sort of threat, violence, all of that. Like I hope that Terry and I can find some resolve on that stuff, because regardless, he is a one-on-one basketball platform. So are we. If we can find a way to get past all of that, clean that relationship up, maybe there's something in the future that could make things feel
resolve. Pay that nigga his money and then some.
A little bit better, and maybe we can rectify it in that way.
Nah, yeah, it's good you taking accountability, but like you said, bro, conversations, phone calls can go a lot of way. Go ahead, Dean. What you about to say?
Let me ask you one thing, Scotty. So the reason, because I want to hear this clearly. So the reason why you said you wasn't answering his phone calls is because you heard that he was very upset with you and he got like violent with you. That's why you was like ducking his phone calls and stuff like that.
No, I didn't hear anything about like him being violent on the situation until the podcast with you guys.
Nigga, he never said anything about violent. He said, "You gonna give me my money, or I'm gonna see your bitchass." Where is he inciting violence?
That was the very first time. But once that group chat was made, I really couldn't like grasp my head around it at first, because when I called,
I forgot dog whistling because he's blocked.
Kellen, I said, "Hey, like, what is going on?" I didn't know, one, he didn't get paid yet, and then two, when I found out he didn't get paid yet, I thought that it was a bit of an overreaction for what it was, because I don't know everybody's situation, and that's not fair for me to assume like, yo, you shouldn't react this way over $1,000. But the reaction is definitely way crazier over 20,000 than 1,000. So when we had 1,000, I was like, oh, I could just get this sent out right away. And then once I found out it was 20, I was like, I can't just send $20,000 right now. I have to have a conversation with Terry, and I got to figure out, and I got to come with accuracy. I got to come with the receipts.
But $20,000 is what got Terry involved with you in the first place, nigga. He would have never did this without the $20,000.
I got to be able to do all that stuff, and you know, we just never got on that call, and that's 100% on me, because I really didn't know exactly how to reach out, and that could be like a more so cowardice thing of me to not just approach the confrontation head on and talk it out with him. But for a moment in time, I was like, low key, like, I really don't even know how to pivot in this exact moment, because
heavy on coward, okay? Courage the Cowardly Dog.
I'm thinking, I'm like, whether we were cool before this and had a good relationship or not, it's like the expectation that 20's coming and you get one is like, I know this isn't going to go over well. So just was trying to figure out some sort of solution, and I just let it burn over way too long, and it ended up getting.
You trying to come up with a solution, or what you really mean is that you're trying to convince Terry to let the $20,000 go and just accept the little pocket change that you're trying to give him, even though you reached out to him trying to piggyback on an event that he had already in motion before you even got involved. But they say white niggas don't be out here exploiting blacks.
Way too big.
Yeah, I feel like he told us on our pod, he was cool if he only made 1,000 or if he didn't make anything. He said he was good with all that because he understands business. He just, at some point, whatever y'all talked about, it led him to believe that he was getting 20,000. So
yeah, and that's where I literally don't know where to go in that situation, because I don't recall giving that false assurance that we got to that number. So I know the miscommunication is really one of like the biggest parts for the aftermath of this event. But at the end of the day, like it's definitely the topic about the 20K.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, but man, we appreciate y'all coming on, man. Y'all get on the phone and figure that out, man, because y'all both got good platforms, man.
I do also, like, if I can, I would like to be able to share out the numbers just so that everybody.
Oh yeah, do your thing. Go ahead,
man. Now, I'm not going to dive into expenses on certain things, because obviously I'm going to respect that. Certain players do get paid this, certain players get paid that. There's all different expenses. That's something that I can have on an offline private conversation with Terry.
Yeah.
But I want to respect their business. But then I also
he was supposed to have this private offline conversation with Terry in the first place. Like the fact that I'm pretty sure Terry's exposure to what they've been made, expenses, yada, 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 is being presented in this video. That's his only exposure to it. It's like, nigga, you were supposed to reach out to him way before this. Like, y'all agreement was post the end of the event, like post the event, y'all was going to reconvene and show each other your private parts. Like, what the freak are we talking about, bro?
just want to share.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up and just also show how this dashboard works, because it's similar to YouTube in a way. You're able to check like day by day.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm gonna share screen. That's not correct. 1 second. I clicked share screen and it popped up something else. Is this just sharing? Do you see a dashboard?
What is that?
Right now,
I've been waiting for you to talk again. Damn.
Hold on, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it. Do you just see you guys, or do you see a dashboard?
We see the dashboard.
Okay.
Yeah, we see
so the way that this dashboard works, I'll go ahead. I'll hit refresh.
Well, see, that's interesting here. See, the reason why I wanted to pause it, because I wanted to look at it for myself. Now, I watched this as they was motherfucking doing the video when I think I watched this like 3 hours posted being shown. Let me get out of the way real quick. And I didn't really look at everything, but what I think is interesting is like right here. I don't know what the rest of this says. Okay, it says dashboard, new Sigma. Okay, but this part is getting me. Custom view. It kind of leads into what Terry Hosley had said when he said that, you know, whatever you show me is going to fit the narrative that you've already been pushing. And this looks like that. Like, this can very much so look like what the $69,000 that he said that he had. Like, to me, it's like with the fact that it's custom view and then you can select it by the event name and the date, it's not going to give you a complete cogent picture on what's going on. Like, at the end of the day, like, I know, yeah, he said he had to exclude some stuff because of expenses and whatnot, but Terry was your partner. Like, he should have been involved in this stuff to begin with. He should have seen this stuff to begin with. So now when he gets a lawyer involved and he takes this to civil court, now you have no motherfreaking option but to disclose the information. You know, it's a form of discovery, right? But one, I think it's interesting because it says custom view. So he literally, like Terry said, he can paint the narrative. He can show the narrative that he's trying to push, right? Because it shows you total revenue, but you customized how this is viewed. So there could be so many factors that are left out that are not being viewed, right? And I'm gonna stop through this a little bit just to show you what I mean.
See, whatever. It's not saying over here where it says total revenue, that's because nothing was on sale for this day. When you go by event name, we have our monthly subs, we have our, basically these are dates. You see 1206, that was December 6th, that was TNC 03. Right. You see 0124, that was the Born Ready platform. You see 314, that was Champions. You see 425, that is the April 25th event that we did with Terry. We didn't go on sale with this event until the 20th, and as you can see when I change the day, this will all update, this will show you the numbers. This is just showing you how many visitors happen to just be coming by, just checking things out or whatever. Like, most of our activity comes on pay-per-view days, but you'll see, like, as we go through, just so I can note on here, like, no one's purchasing anything because nothing is available until we get to the 20th. That's when sales go live, and that's where you're gonna see opening day, boom, sales come in. We sold 184 pre-sales, that put us at 1860. The next day we sell.
Now the thing that gets me, right, is like, I remember watching a video and Terry said that their arrangement was something like Terry keeps basically everything that was, you know, made on the spot there, right? But when it comes to this, he was supposed to get what was linked to like the streaming. Now, that makes me wonder, like, because he said it showed where this was getting visits, right? The page was getting visits. So who is there to say that when these visitors were coming on days prior to the event taking place that they weren't buying the tickets then? Like, not everybody wait till the day of to buy tickets. Some people do like to do like a little pre-order before, you know, beforehand type of ordeal where they buy beforehand. So it makes me wonder, well, okay, this showed that you had visitors prior to the days when people knew an event was coming up. So how do I differentiate, you know, your visits to your page just for your page versus your visits for your page for the event? And if they are visiting for the event, you know, how many people purchase tickets to see the event on days that was not the day of the event, not just the day of the event? And I think he said until like May 9th or something like that. It makes me wonder, like, how much money was purchased prior to the event by these visitors to your page. That's one thing. Let's continue.
139.
Statistical analyzation. That's my thing, man.
That puts us at 1400. The next day we go to the 22nd, 113. The event's on the 25th, by the way.
Now, see, visits 19,391, but total revenue is nulled out. Total transactions nulled out. Remember, we have a custom view. So he can show the visits, unique visits, all this other information and exclude this, even though this could have been contributed based on the event. This is why Terry needs to see. Sir, I encourage you, I implore you, get an attorney. Please, sir. Because then all that 80-20 nonsense goes out the trash. Now you get that and then some, and only got to split somewhere between 30 and 40% with your attorney, and you will have that in contractual agreement.
Boom, sales come in. We sold 184 pre-sales.
Now see how it jumps up? Total transactions. But who is it? Where is the total transactions, the total revenue prior to? And I didn't really, this is the day before, but look how many visitors they got. The day of the event. How do you have more visitors the day before than the day of the event? But he says that they usually see their big boom the day of the event. He said they don't necessarily see big booms depending on who matchup is, what order of the event. It's just they usually see a big boom the day of the event. But yet this shows that they had less visits the day of the event than they did before. How much money did y'all make in Terry Hosley's event in ticket sales prior to the
That's
day
when
of
sales
the
go
event?
live, and that's where you're going to see opening day. Boom, sales come in. We sold 184 pre-sales. That put us at 1860. The next day, we sell 139. That puts us at 1484 pre. Get to the 20th. That's when sales go live, and that's where you're going to see opening day.
Opening day, total visits, 1931. It went from
No one's purchasing anything because nothing is available until we get to the 20th. That's when sales
10,185. April 19th. April 20th,
go live, and that's where you're going to see opening day.
it shoots up a little over 9,000 people. Opening day, but yet the total revenue and the total transactions is still null. Why? Why? Let's continue. Terry, you need to look into this.
Boom, sales come in. We sold 184 pre-sales. That put us at 1860. The next
How you sold 184 pre-sales, but that's the day of. Pre-sales to me would have been the day before. What's the time frame of the pre-sales? That needs to be defined, because that's not defined here on this motherfreaking. It's not defined here. It just says total number of tickets and subscription transactions placed.
Next day, we sell 139. That puts us at 1400. The next day, we go to the 22nd, 113. The event's on the 25th, by the way. 23rd, we come in. We're at 144.
So an extra about 30 people.
And then 24th comes in. This is the day before. This is at 5,290. And then the day of, this is how much revenue we made. 40.
I misspoke when I said the day of, but you see what I'm saying? Like when it's the 19th compared to the 20th.
9,180 on the day of. The very next day, after the event, this is people buying after midnight and whatever. Yeah. We get there. So just to make it easier, we stopped sales, I believe, and I'll click on the date real quick. I think it's still for sale on the 6th. It only sold 3 tickets because.
Now, what doesn't make sense?
On the day of. The very next day, after the event, this is people buying after midnight and whatever. Yeah. We get there. So just to make it easier, we stopped sales, I believe, and I'll click on the date real quick. I think it's still for sale on the.
Why include visits and unique visits if it has no effect to the revenue and transactions? Because like you'll see afterward, but the total visits doesn't match the transactions. Because where's my calculator at? Hold on. Let me get my calculator. That ain't my calculator. Bro, give me my calculator. Because what they said, it's $3.99, and that's like times $10, but that's for members. I'm tripping. Hold on, $3.99 times 10. Okay. So what is that? The remaining like people that paid $20? See, that's the part that is even like that's kind of weird, right? Is like you got people that's already TNC League, members that had a discounted rate for their tickets. They probably didn't watch it the day of, the day before, whatever. And they came after the fact and tuned in. And then at the same time, you had the people buying them for $20. Then you had the people who, like the visits just doesn't match up. It's like, I'm going to let it play out. But it's like, and the numbers don't match up either. Because $3.99 with a 0 at the end for $10. And look,
we get there. So just to make 1,180 on the to 290. And then the day of, this is how much revenue we made.
Total transaction 4133. Then he's gonna show the day after.
49,180 on the day of. The very next day, after the event, this is people buying after midnight.
it drops. This is 399 people that they claim performed a transaction, but the total revenue was 4380. Let me see how much is that roughly. 4380 divided by a 399. That's about $11 that people are paying on average. But again, some people paid $10, some people paid $20. The people that were TNC League members only had to pay $10. Non-TNC League members paid $20. How is this math incorporated? Does these visits, because it shows visits, like total visits, and then it shows unique visitors. Are the unique visitors the people that aren't a part of your TNC League membership? These are people that just so happen, like if I was to buy a ticket because I'm not in your little community, so and I just happened to buy a ticket because I wanted to see that. Is these those unique visitors? And the rest of the people are the people that is your regulars? Like, how is this defined? That's another thing Terry needs to get some information.
Nice, whatever.
Yeah.
We get there. So just to make it easier, we stopped sales, I believe, and I'll click on the date real quick. I think it's still for sale on the 6th. It only sold 3.
See, 3 tickets, $30. That implies that these tickets were bought at $10 a piece. So that means that these are what? Who's buying a ticket at $3 a piece? TNC League members, because they're the only ones that got the discounted rate. Remember, custom view. It's customized how we are to view
3 tickets because it's like 2 weeks later.
his record keeping.
Still for sale on the 7th. No. So this is when it stopped being.
Still on sale on the 7th, still on sale on the 8th, but total revenue and transactions is null. Does that mean that it's like there was just no purchases there? Is it excluded because it's a custom view? Because you're still getting regular visits. The unique visits has dropped tremendously, but they're still there. You know, so it's like, how are you doing this? How are you gauging this? But let's
on sale. That's why it just says null over here.
Right.
We go ahead and we change the situation here where you go between. I'm just going to claim April 1st because that's way before it went live. And then I guess I'll even go to now, June 29th. So the numbers sitting at 69,070.
So yeah.
total transaction. Let's do the math. Where's my calculator? $69,070,002 divided by 6,009. There we go again. Barely $11, $11.5, $11.50. Remember, some people paid $10. Some people paid $20. Let's continue.
That's what you. I mean, that's what you said. So yeah.
Yeah. So that's what it's at. So I can't really.
Yeah, I feel. Yeah, like I said, it's just a communication thing. Cause he told us he would have been cool with all that if he knew that though. He just at some point he felt like he was supposed to get more than that. Cause I guess he said you told him that throughout the time. So
yeah. I can't see anybody but myself right now.
Pull back up. All right. Yeah. But yeah, so he just felt like he was supposed to get the 20, but he kept saying he knows the game. If you would have told him at the time at the gym, we only about to make 1K, I think he would have been cool with that. All this would have been avoided. Like I think he just wanted to know exactly what it was. He didn't want to be,
And I really genuinely think that it came down to the way that we were interpreting what are we looking good meant. Yeah. Like to me, it's always come down to, are we making our money back on the event and are we in the green? And I think in this situation, are we looking good to him means, are we near that $20,000 number? And when I had communicated, like at some point during the event where we were at in sales, whether it was at that job wait time when I told him, hey, like we broke past that threshold.
At some point when I communicated where we were at, but he doesn't recall the exact point in time, except that he knows for sure that he did not show him post the event, which he was verbally motherfucking in agreement with Terry.
I just know it was reported on. And I think, did he mention something in the last one about there being like a jump around when there was like the Kel versus Greg game or whatever? Mm-hmm. The way, again, like the way that the pay-per-view sales work, there's not usually a jump near like the co-main or the main event. Usually the only jump that happens is when you switch from free on YouTube to the very first game.
Irrelevant information.
After that, not a lot of people kind of buy halfway through the event. So again, kind of like the style and the way these events sell, it just doesn't sound like, if I communicated something similar to that, like it's not how I meant it, and maybe that could have been more thoroughly spoken on. As I could have told them like, hey, like we made a jump, but that jump was only another 200 sales or another 300 sales. That jump wasn't 3,000 sales, 4,000 sales.
Understandable.
But yeah, I want to keep having conversations about the situation, because obviously, like, I don't want to see anything escalate past a certain extent on this, because one, like, there's literally not
I
20.
don't see anything escalate past a certain point on this, implying violence, which I told you this nigga's taking you to court, bro.
$1,000
He has illegal grounds too.
On these sales, and I just want to
Which I'm about to establish for y'all after these niggas motherfuckers stop chatting about this.
find some sort of a situation that he feels is honorable to the fact. And I don't really care what anybody has to say online, whether people want to, scold me in the comments and all that stuff. I'm fully accountable. I deserve that for the
I don't care what anybody say about me online, but if they want to scold me, I'm fully accountable.
communication.
Irrelevant information, nigga.
And this is more so, you guys know I never go public about anything. I'm only going public for Terry, because
Sure.
I do know where my heart was going into that event, and what
I don't go public for anything, but I be seeing him go live all public for quite a bit. He's constantly complaining about the motherfreaking narrative that's painted about him. Like, nigga.
I wanted to accomplish, and I fell short on.
If you didn't want people associating you with fraudulent financial tactics, then maybe you shouldn't do it, and then evade accountability in the process.
On that, I fell short on the communication side. So whatever it is to do something noble and respectable, like I'm trying to work towards that.
Noble and respectable. Pay him his $20,000 and then some. Point blank, period.
Yeah, for sure, man. But appreciate the accountability, man. Appreciate y'all pulling up on us, man. Hopefully y'all get everything squared away. It's all respect from us, man. So hopefully this helped a little.
Now, for me, I'm just going to end this with y'all. It's just, like I said, give y'all a little, for the people who like, Terry don't got no legal grounds. Yes, he does. Shut up. Yes, he does. Yes, this says understanding New York law. So yes, this pertains to New York. However, if you look at where you live, your state's tort law, the 4 elements that gives you legal groundings for a civil case is basically the same, just about in all 50 states. And the truth of the matter is that when people sitting here talking about Terry doesn't have any evidence, yes, you do. Yes, he does. He's already told us, well, I'm going off of his word. I don't know for sure because I haven't seen it, but going off of his word, he has various text messages and communications where he's reached out to Scotty, even saying like, hey, where my couple thousands at? I'm hurt and I need something. And Terry or Scotty is just avoiding him. So that shows that Terry has been expecting payments. He's been reaching out. He can establish, the phone call trail, how many times he potentially attempted to call him, text him, whether he responded back or not. He has all of that. He has the evidence to show that he responded. He has the evidence to show that he did not. On top of the fact that he has the conversations that he even said that he has the text messages between the conversation with Kel and all the things that Kel has relayed to him with his communication with Scotty. On top of the fact that you got all the social media posts that has been made, which when it comes to court, all it is about who can motherfreaking push the most convincing narrative. That's how you win. Okay. Who has the most convincing narrative? And right now it doesn't look so well for Scotty. Like Scotty even got niggas that are full blown TNC semen guzzlers. They over here like, nah, dude, we spitting it back out. We don't even want to swallow anymore because we see you for your bull crap, Scotty. We see you lying. Like we recognize that. So even their own motherfreaking testes ticklers and scrotum scufflers are motherfreaking stating that this nigga's in the wrong. So it won't be hard to convince a court, especially when, civil court is similar to criminal court in the matters of you don't always stand before a judge, aka a bench trial. You are permitted to a jury trial. So if you got your peers in there and you can convince them enough with your evidence, which you only have to prove, the burden of proof is preponderance of evidence, which basically means you just have to establish this 50% of the way. If you could establish, you could convince me half of the way that you have a legitimate case here, you win. I literally read it to you. It says each of these 4 elements of a tort case, there has to be a violation. There has to be a duty. The duty, I'm going to tell you what all these things are, but there has to be a violation, there has to be a duty, there has to be a cause, and there has to be harm. And then once these four things are established, it has to be proven by a preponderance of the evidence, which means more likely than not that this happened, more likely than not. So you just got to convince me that it's very plausible that this happened. As otherwise stated, proof by more than 50%, and each of these elements will be examined individually. So once you establish these four elements, violation, duty, cause, and harm, and then you have enough evidence to prove that this happened more likely than not, you won your case. The burden of proof is so low in the civil case. This is why most cases go to civil courts. Like when people accuse people of rape, when people accuse people of motherfucking abuse, and they can't go through the criminal courts. The reason why is because the criminal court's burden of proof is higher. You have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Proven beyond a reasonable doubt where there's no doubt casted whatsoever is very, very complicated. That's why people choose the easier route. They go to civil court because the burden of proof is so much lower. It's preponderance of evidence, which means you just got to convince me, the judge, or convince the jury that more likely than not, this happened. And once you prove that, baby, you're done. You won. On top of the fact that you have to establish the four elements: violation, duty, harm, and cause. Now, what is these four things? I'm going to tell you this briefly. And we up out of here because I'm about to go smoke a blunt and I'm going to go eat a PBJ and I'm going to take my butt to bed. Now, what are the four elements of proving a tort case? Violations, duty, cause, harm. What constitutes harm? Y'all see me read it. I just want y'all to see I'm not making this up. I learned this in about, 2018-ish? Pursuing my bachelor's degree. But anyways, what constitutes harm? It says the concept of harm may be the simplest element for laypersons to understand in tort law. Harm is the injury, generally expressed in economic terms. So in Terry's case, the injury is he expected $20,000. He did not receive the $20,000. That is the harm. That's the injury. Okay. It says sometimes these things can include medical bills, lost wages, psychiatric expenses, damage to business or property, loss of life, whatever the harm is that is suffered. Even if a nigga want to claim emotional and financial duress. This has caused, not only did it cause me harm in the fact that he did not provide me the money that we have verbally agreed on, but he has caused me motherfucking economic stress because I was expecting that money and I had some plans for that money and he hindered my plans, on top of the fact that he caused me emotional duress because I had to get on here and this thing has, caused me to get vulnerable in a space where I trusted this guy. You know what I'm saying? This is why I didn't give him no handwritten black to white paper letter law. This is why I gave him a verbal handshake agreement and I went on his word, and then he went against my word and he hurt my feelings, man. He not only hurt my feelings. I don't trust this dude. I never will trust him ever again. I will never do business with him. In fact, he has put such a stain on my perception of business dealings. I will never deal with another big business, corporate business again. And baby, right there, already Terry is making more than $20,000. So all the people that's in here talking about it's not even worth it. He can't get more than $20,000. Yes, he can, nigga. It's called harm. What does your harm consist of, Terry? Was it lost wages? You didn't make your $20,000. Are there any, motherfucking emotional duress that was suffered? Because at the end of the day, it says that generally tort law makes an evaluation of the economic equivalent, and this is the amount of compensatory damages in the case. So they look at all this stuff, how this affected every aspect of your life, and then they come up with a number. So for the niggas that say, it ain't worth it. Oh, baby, it's very much worth it. It is very much worth it. Even in harm is what is considered damages. And in damages, when you win, You can even throw it in there. The loser pay the court fees. That's a part of the damages too. So when y'all niggas sit here talk about it's not worth it, yes, the freak it is. I'm getting my $20,000 and then some for emotional duress, economic duress, nigga. On top of the fact that you paying my court fees, and then I'm gonna throw in an extra, all because I want to deter you from ever doing this again, from ever performing this fraudulent business tactic again. And not just you, but even all the other platforms that's watching it, trying to be just like you. Nigga, not name one of y'all ever gonna do this ever again. Because of what? Nigga, I sued you, and I'm using you as a mother freaking example. It's worth it, baby. Why y'all think I'm an advocate for lawsuits? Now, what constitutes duty? For a person to be held liable, for people that say Scotty is not held liable, let me clarify some things for you, stupid niggas. What constitutes duty? For a person to be held liable for damages, which is the harm, under tort law, that person must owe some duty to the injured party. Some, keyword, some, not all, just some. Just some. Remember, when it comes to legality, words matter. A lot of y'all niggas is uneducated and motherfucking ignorant, but when it comes to the law, they break down even the tiniest word, bro. So where you niggas is going over your heads, evading you, you have no idea what's happening because it just motherfucking you got up off you. The law. Their whole job is to interpret the law, nigga. But anyways, for a person to be held liable for damages, the harm, under tort law, the person must owe some duty to the injured party. The most extreme example of this concept is that of the Good Samaritan. If I pass by a bleeding, injured person in the street and I do absolutely nothing, I don't call 911, I don't try to stop the bleeding, etc., and the person dies, I cannot be held accountable under tort law because I had no duty to this person. But Scotty had a duty to motherfucking Terry. They were business partners. They had a verbal agreement to which they handshook. Nobody else were witnesses to it. It doesn't matter. Preponderance of evidence. He just has to prove that this more likely than not occurred. That harm was established. That motherfucking he had a duty. There was an understanding, which motherfucking Scotty has admitted on this motherfucking this interview right here. He admitted his accountability, his responsibility. So it's like, what the frick is you niggas talk about? What constitutes causing? To constitute causation sufficient for tort liability, the defendant's action must be the proximate cause of the harm. Proximate cause means that the results of the action must be reasonably foreseeable. If you slip, fall, and break your arm on my icy sidewalk, a sidewalk I did a poor job shoveling, the ice I negligently left on the sidewalk was the proximate cause of your fall and the injury resulting from this fall. But cause is frequently not that simple. It says the court held that a case of negligence could not be established against the town because regardless of whether there was any defective condition inherent to the guardrail, the sole proximate cause of Fowler's injury was someone else's operation of the vehicle. So when it comes to cause, they just had to have some immediate proximate, like, motherfucking involvement in this. They was in an agreement, whether it was verbal. They had an understanding. There was some miscommunication, but they had a verbal agreement to which Scotty has admitted. He takes accountability for his poor communication. Everything has been solidified. The only thing that they have a difference on is the amount that Terry was expected to be paid. That's it. So right now, Terry has harm, duty, and cause established. And the last thing is violation. What constitutes a violation under tort law? There's three motherfucking classifications of and these three categories are intentional, negligence, and strict liability. But basically, intentional, a tort case may be predicated on an intentional act of which one causes harm to another. It's called intentional. It's done by intent or design. It's intended to have that effect, right? Or there's negligence, which means that basically your incompetence or your carelessness led to this. So there's intentional under violation. There could be an intentional violation, like, oh, you intended to do this, or you designed this to do this, or you negligently, incompetently caused this to happen. Or there's the third, strict liability, which basically, and it's the most limited, not the most used either, but it's a theory of tort liability, which is strict liability. It states that it's not neither negligent or intentional, but it's based on the fact that if a person engages in a very dangerous activity and another is harmed, the very nature of that dangerous activity will result in liability. So it's basically saying that if you do something and the immediate result is all sufficiently known that this is going to have an injurious effect on the person, then you automatically liable. So just to sum it all up, Terry do have legal grounds to sue the next chapter, Scotty and Devontae Friga. He only has to establish, the burden of proof is preponderance of evidence, which basically means he only has to establish 50% of it, which basically states that he just has to show that more likely than not, this situation occurred. Now, with the text message, the proof of phone calls and all this other stuff, and the public videos that's on Backcourt Connection, all of these things are enough evidence to basically state that Terry's situation is sufficient. It's legit. It happened. Once that's established, you prove that this more likely than not happened. The next step is to establish these 4 elements, which is harm. There was a harm that occurred. What was the harm? $20,000. Financial and emotional duress. I mean, there's now distrust between Terry and Scott where there wasn't that to begin with. And then there's duty. Did he have a duty with him? Well, they already had an agreement. So even though there wasn't a contractual agreement, they still had an agreement to which Scotty is on public videos admitting that him and Terry Hosley had an agreement. They had an agreement, and he just fell short on communication. So that's established. And then the next thing is cause. What, did he have, an immediate cause, approximate cause, or, which he did because his actions led to this situation. And then this violation is just establishing how you violated. Was this violation intentional? Was it negligent? Or was it strict liability, where it's like any reasonable person would have foreseen that your actions would have result in this injurious fact or state? So I just wanted to establish that. That's the only reason why I did a reaction on this video. I really, like I said, I was going to steer away from it because what's the point? It's the redundant. Everybody already got in on it. But I just wanted to put that out there, for the people that, painted Terry as a violent individual because he rightfully so said he's going to get his money or he's going to come see Scotty's BITCHASS. That's not inciting violence. If anything, that could be taken as I'm going to see you in court, nigga. And the fact that people kept saying that Terry didn't have legal grounds to sue. It's complete garbage. He does. So I've established that. I've done all that I intended to do. And now I'm up out of here. So I love y'all. God bless and shalom. Okay. Y'all be easy. Just know that